Welcome back, friends. Today we're going to do a quick jelly printing session with some new masks and a stencil that I created. So if you watch my channel, you may have seen me use this on occasion. I've used it a lot. I cut this with my tiny Cricut. I have like a Cricut Joy, and this was about as wide as it would go, a little bit wider. And for my stencils that I'm going to be selling on my website, I wanted them to fit on an 8x10 jelly plate. I wanted the whole thing to be filled. So this is a reimagining of this particular stencil that you may have seen me use. Then I had also created one of these like a year ago. I only had one of them, and now I'm going to be selling them in a pack of 2. And so today I'm going to show you how I would use these along with this. I think they go beautifully with each other. And we're going to use colors like Payne's Gray for our super dark color, Quinacridone Red, Hansa Yellow, Opaque, and my favorite color green, which is Apple Tart from Craft Smart. One of these days I'm going to mix this color up into a squirt bottle with golden fluid just to have better, maybe a better quality paint. But I love this shade of green. And we're probably going to use this sparingly. Okay, so we're going to start with some Payne's Gray for our nice dark color. And on this particular one that I'm going to do, we're going to do layers with one pull. So we're going to start with that. And then the others will probably do a registered layered technique. I want you to see a little bit of both. So I'm going to start by creating I'm just going to pick this up with deli paper. That way I leave a ghost on the plate, and that ghost will be my first layer. I like working like this because I can never get enough of these deli papers. I just love having a whole big stash of them. So now we're going to just leave this ghost to dry, and then we're going to do layer 2. So here's where it gets tricky. We have paint on the plate. If I lay this on top and then brayer over it, push paint through, when I lift this up, some of this paint is going to be stuck to my stencil. But I'm going to do it anyway because sometimes that gives me some interesting results. So I'm going to go this way now because our stencils went this way. Our masks went this way. I'm going to go this way with my color. Make sure I get all the yellow off of here. So you'll see what I mean, but it might be okay. So now we have a lot of, I don't clean these, I just let it dry. I'm going to let this dry. Okay, I'm going to reverse this now. I'm going to put yellow over here, mixed with a little bit of Titan Buff. Didn't mention that in the beginning, but we're going with the flow here. And we're going to mix a little bit in Titan Buff and Quinacridone Red on this side. So let's just make sure, looks like we're dry. So I'm just going for a lighter tone of both colors as the background. And of course I put too much paint, so now I have to brayer some off. And you want a nice thin layer. You don't want anything, like you could tell with that yellow, it is way too much. Okay, so I'm picking this up with rice paper. And this is the single pull, 3 layers. Now I find with this paper you cannot leave it on too long because then the paper will tear. And I'm just giving a little peek. I want to see what the results will be. On this right hand side I did lose some paint. Stuck to the plate. The rest of it came off evenly, and there are sections of that I absolutely love. So now I'm just going to use some Titan Buff to pick up the right-hand side, just because it'll make great collage paper. And I'm just picking this up with copy paper. And that little edge will be great in a collage. Okay, so now we're going to do a completely different technique. We're going to do registered layers. So what I mean by register is that it's an old printing term. And we're going to use tape to just tape down one side. And we're going to make sure that our paper kind of lands on the plate in the same spot every time. Okay, so with this technique, you do not want to wait for the paint to dry. You have to pick it up right away. And again, I'm using rice paper. I'm going to tape that left edge. Paper's a little crooked, but it doesn't matter. Every time we pull it down, it'll be in the same place. Okay, so now I'm going to do a layer where I'm putting the quinacridone red on top of these masks. And we did have a little bit of yellow on the plate, and that was fine. And now I'm going right over the yellow. So this is my second layer. So I did the opposite. Last time I started with the darker colors and went lighter because I was doing a single pull. This we are starting with the lighter colors. The red is more of a mid-tone color, and then we're going to end with our Payne's Gray. So because I was pressing really hard, I have a very light ghost. And we're going to pick that up. But first I want you to see the result of that particular print. And you could still see through the Payne's gray, so I kind of like that. You still have a lot of transparency going on. Okay, so this ghost is mostly an outline, but I think it's going to give us a nice effect. So I'm going to pick that up with some yellow. This is the Hansa yellow. I'm doing a thin layer. And this is my rice paper again. I'm going to tape it down. Now there are fancier registration tools, but in my small studio, I'm just going to keep it simple with tape. I don't always bother with registration because most of this is being used for collage paper, and it doesn't matter if it's completely registered. And because it's registered, I can't show you in between. It's very frustrating for me. Okay, so now we're going to do our quinacridone red and our yellow. We're going to do a little bit of a mixture here. Going to mix it up right on the plate. These two colors together really make a beautiful color. And I like the unevenness of the mix. Okay, so now we're going to pull through this stencil. And I am using golden fluid, so it dries quickly. So even on my stencils, it's drying quickly. And I guess that's why I like to use them. I like to keep moving. I like it to move fast. And I also love that ghost, so I'm picking it up with some deli paper. And I like the unevenness of that, where you see a little bit of that yellow that it didn't mix. Okay, back to the Payne's gray. Since that other layer of Payne's gray was very faint, we're going to go for a bolder result this time. The Payne's gray looks really dark on this one, probably because it's over those other colors. You still see a little bit of those other colors through it, and I love how in the negative spaces you see that thinner ghost from earlier, just the outline. I think it's kind of interesting. Okay, so now we have another ghost, a darker ghost. And I'm just going to pick this up with some Titan Buff. I love the combination of Payne's Gray and Titan Buff. I think they're beautiful together. And I'm using my rice paper. I'm going over the edges because that's where I sometimes don't pick up the paint. It sticks along the edges. Okay, so now we're going to put a layer of quinacridone red on here. I'm going for a really thin layer, so I had to like brayer back and forth a lot. Now, you can't really tell, but I'm picking up my brayer as I'm going down. I'm not going back and forth, I'm picking up. I'm going in one direction and picking up. Because if you go back and forth, you're just taking the paint right off the plate. Again, I'm picking up the ghost with the deli paper. I like this inexpensive deli paper that I get on Amazon. It's not a brand name, but the reason why I like it is it's not folded. Some of the deli papers that you find, they are folded in half and in a box. And then you always have that crease. I'm using a little bit of that apple tart. So I'm using the same stencil twice with two different colors, so I decided to put it on an angle. I don't plan these things ahead of time. It just comes to me while I'm doing it. So here's where the frustration of the registration is. I wanted to go the other direction, so I had to unregister it because I wanted to pick this up going the other way. So now I lost a little bit of my contrast, so I think I want to do a little bit more for this. I'm going to try something else. But I do like it the way it is, and I like that little touch of green, the apple tart. So I think I'm going to change the direction of my masks. I'm going to make an intentional ghost again. I'm going to have my mask going the other way. I'm going to pick it up with some deli paper. Now there was also some more of that yellow still on the plate. So now since I'm not registered anymore, I have to try to line it up. Grab my corners. So now since this will be the top layer, it'll be a more dominant color. And I like the crisscrossing that happened. So this is that yellow that was also, this is the pickup sheet that we did. And we kept that. I love how it looks a little green. It looks a little bit like that apple tart, actually. Maybe that's how you make apple tart. You mix yellow with Payne's Gray. I'll have to give that a try one of these days. I'm very happy with the way this one came out. Okay, so I'm going to mix my quinacridone red and my yellow again. And this time I'm going to add a little bit of Titan Buff, lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to start with a background on this one. Start with just a, it's not really a single color because I mixed 3 colors in there, but I'm just making a simple background. Beautiful color. And I even picked up some of those paints around the edges, so I like that. I like that little bit of grunge around the edges. So my next layer is going to be Payne's Gray. And I just want the ghost, so I'm, again, making an intentional ghost. And I'm trying not to press too hard on the mask so that I get a dark ghost. And I love that little outline that you get around the edges. Okay, so I think what I'm doing here is I went straight with my masks the last time. Now I think I'm going on diagonal. And I'm trying to keep this a simpler piece where I have the colored background and then I just have 2 layers. And I figure I might as well use one of these deli papers to pick it up. This will give me an interesting deli print. So it's always good to have other papers nearby so that you could pick up in between your layers if you're going for a specific kind of result. But look at how nice that deli print came out. And when I use that in collage, you will be able to see through that. So that'll be very interesting collage paper. And I didn't even use the stencil. So you can layer the masks one on top of the other. So there's that deli paper again. I love it. And there's my other one. There's a couple of these other deli prints. I love that one with the little bit of what ended up green because it was yellow. I'm thinking that other one is probably my favorite. This one is also pretty cool. I like it. That one's a little bit busy for me. But I'm sure a sliver of that will be great. And actually, no, I take it back. This one is my favorite. It was the first one, and I didn't think I was going to like it. But when I look at it, back at it now, I absolutely love it, especially the yellow area and the pink area in the middle. Actually, all of it. I like all of it. So that's it. I didn't make any more today. Very happy with these though. Very, very happy. Maybe I will do a board book soon with the prints from this particular session. So I'm really happy with my new stencil and my masks. And they will very soon be in my shop. I might put them up for pre-order this week, only because I'm waiting for the packaging. But very, very soon they will be shipping out. So I hope you will visit my site and take a look. So these two are going to be sold as a set, and the other one is a stencil that will be sold separately. So that's it for today. I had a good time. I hope you enjoyed watching me jelly print again with my new stencils, stencil masks. And I hope you'll visit me again soon. I promise to do more collage very, very soon, especially with these deli papers. So don't forget to create, inspire, and share, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.